Who knows?
That's right.
I don't even care.
It may not be here to be less than that.
Hopefully we're made for each other.
I was one time I was representative of his until time. Preached the least.
Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome everyone to the December 3rd, 2024 Winchester County Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. First thing on the agenda tonight is to approve the minutes from our October 1st, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. I'll give Commissioner a couple of minutes to look over the minutes. Entertain any motion. Commissioner Bush. Second from Commissioner Henry. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor, yea. Any opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimous. Next thing on the agenda is the treasurer's report and accounts payable. I'm going to turn over to Ken to start what we go.
I'm just requesting permission to pay the Winchester Sun for advertising, $93.75. And you should have received the financial reports today in the email to review.
I have a question, Ken, about the Winchester Sun. Anything on the treasurer's report? I'll give you a minute to look over it and I'll entertain any possible motions.
Article 7.1, entitled Mobile Home District, or the Winchester Clark County Zoning Ordinance, addresses the minimum lot area with sanitary sewer. The minimum lot size is 2,400 square feet. As shown above, the average lot size is between 4,000 to 5,000 square feet or more, which would meet and exceed the minimum requirement. I just want to make sure Mr. Baldwin's here to do the property. Did I do the math correct? Is that about the average size of each lot?
Close enough for a planning director.
All right, I appreciate that. I'm not an engineer, so. All right. Which would meet and exceed the minimum requirement. The minimum front, side, and rear yard requirements are shown below. That is the front yard to be 20 feet, side yard to be 10 feet, and the rear yard to be 20 feet. Sample motions are included in the staff report, as well as a copy of the plat. I have a larger copy. If any of the commissioners would like to pass this around, I can pass this around. But there's a copy in the staff report. Any questions or comments for staff?
Questions for us?
I'm assuming there's lobby emergency.
So we actually, there's no one from the CMS that comes to our technical review, but the police and fire, yeah, I should have realized that. Yeah. So police and fire have come, and so they have seen it, and they received an email as well with a copy of the
very briefly, I did have a PowerPoint. I'm just going to pass it around so you can look. There are pictures there that may give you some comfort level with the area. Just very briefly, this is the back part of Rockwell Village. Edison Court is how it's addressed, but it's Edison and Wexford Drive. You'll see that there are existing mobile homes on each of these lots already. Just rolling them out to make sure there weren't any issues with encroachments. The roads are already in the county system. There's already existing subdivided utilities on each lot. This is really a fully done development. I think this original design was done in 1997 by Mr. Baldwin, so it just was never subdivided when it was first developed. But now circumstances have changed, and the idea is to create individual lots that can be sold. To me, this is probably the easiest major subdivision you can have because it's completely developed already. It's not like this isn't creating any new lots. This is making lots out of what are already existing places, and actually it brings it into uniformity with the rest of Rockwell Village, which is already subdivided in that manner. They're already all individual lots. I'm happy to answer any questions. It is surrounded, Tree Haven's on one side, and it's got industrial to the north and to the east, and then obviously the rest of Rockwell Village is to the south, which is also a mobile home park. So it's not creating a new mobile home park, it's just creating lots within the existing.
Rockwell Village, are they single lots?
They are all single lots. Yeah. Rockwell Village is kind of thinking when you drive to Lexington and ride, it's the first mobile home park that you see closest to Winchester. It was the first one that was developed. And this is the back part of it, which you can't really see from the interstate. Do we have any other questions at all?
With all the water issues that we've heard being brought up, I mean, I guess it's all okay. I know sewer and water's already there, but they're talking about the water. Who was here from Works support?
This is a little bit unique. So a lot of what you're hearing, I think, is about sewer. This property is actually serviced by Kentucky American Water, and Kentucky American replaced the package plant that services this area I don't remember exactly when it was. It was in the last 10 years. So it is not part of the same problem that you hear a lot about. I know a lot more about the sanitary sewer problem in Clark County than probably what I'm talking about tonight, but it is not part of that system because it's actually serviced by, not serviced by WVU, it's serviced by Kentucky American. So although it's the closest part, it's kind of uniquely situated in that regard. But it is part of the same sewer watershed. I mean, it's part of that same system, but it's not part of the same expansion that's being discussed.
Thank you, Mr. Ron. I'm going to ask, but I don't see anybody. Is anybody here that wants to speak for or against this motion? And then I close the floor to the public. So for discussion, possible motions.
Commissioner, Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve major subdivision that plats subdivided into 3.33 acres of property located at 500 Edison Court into a total of 28 lots as proposed, based on the fact that the proposal meets and exceeds the minimum requirements for the mobile home zoning district, and the final plat has been found to adhere to the subdivision requirements of Winchester Clark County subdivision regulations. No other factors.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Elfrey. Is there a second? Second from Commissioner Bush. Any further discussion? Discussion. All in favor, yea?
Yea.
Any opposed, nay? 2082, is that the first?
And then, so we would be looking at the second week in November as well.
Like that form of motions.
Does that interrupt anybody's schedules? Agree, so which, April the 8th, July the 8th, and November 11th?
Second, remove.
To just consider it because it's the community's spring break. So if something happened to be on the agenda, would they be able to attend that night? I don't know. But we don't have.
Who's spring break?
It's the Clark County Public Schools spring
Oh,
break
schools, okay.
for the community. July the 8th, I think we should try to stay away from anything that week of the 4th. But if we're not by law on November 4th, then for election purposes, I just figured there'd be a lot of people here.
Yeah, well, and I should have looked into if there was an election, you know, because in the bylaws, it does say when, for the month of November, when it falls on election day, it'll be the second Tuesday of the month. So it should be November 11th.
I don't think we have election 2023, do we? 2025.
There's something.
I just Googled it. I mean, it may not be in the state of Kentucky, but I Googled election day 2025 and it says November 4th, but I don't know if there, you know, some states may have something on the ballot, not just six.
Can't talk for office, we get 2025.
But it's whatever's the best for everybody here. Just suggestions.
Any other suggestions or motions?
Says there's an election day on the 4th next year.
There is.
Get a motion in a second, then we'll discuss it further. If there's any other discussion.
Okay, I make a motion to accept the Winchester Clark County Planning Commission schedule. And I guess we must go to April 1st. Meeting is going to be April 8th. And July 8th date. And then, based on bylaws in November, we need to change it to will. And to November 11th.
Put a time in that, set a time.
I think you can include the 6 PM start date in your motion for this scheduled meeting as well, unless you want to name two separate motions for this meeting.
Okay, to include the meeting starting at 6 PM.
Have a second. Second, Commissioner Henry. Any more discussion? Times or days? Further discussion? All in favor, yea?
Okay.
Any opposed, nay? Motion passes.
Well, will that automatically change the board of adjustment meeting to the second week?
Yes, so the Board of Adjustments meets the second, or they meet the third day following the planning commission.
So it doesn't matter when the bank leaves, it's all they.
So exactly, so they're on the same week.
Commissioners meet before us,
The city
the
commission.
same day.
They have two meetings a month normally, so their first meeting is on the same Tuesday as ours.
Or they usually go to the 6th.
Sometimes they get out by 6, sometimes they don't.
Is that, and are you for me too late?
The
6, I mean, if I could be here, I'd be here. It just, coming from Ludlow, and it's,
Well, if it didn't.
it is what it is.
Let's try it, see how it goes.
How about-
Let's try and see how it goes. If I'm not here, you'll know it didn't work for me.
And if we need to change it, we can make a motion.
Well, it's Mr. Thing too, so.
Yeah.
But, I mean, my project's gonna be going through this time next year, so unless they move me to another one, that's where I'm gonna be coming from.
Any other questions or comments from the other commissioners? Committee meetings too bad,
Do we want to, do we vote on
or maybe they vote on it?
Okay.
Pass
it?
that.
All right. But did we change it to just January being 6 PM and then?
Good, slow it down.
Good. Okay.
Good
I'm looking at you.
Is January the only meeting we're gonna start at 6?
Let's see if it
No,
works.
it's all meetings.
All 6.
But as mentioned, if it starts to heat somebody or be a problem, I'm very versatile. And,
Yeah, I mean, I'll work to try and make it, it just,
Well, we want you here.
yeah, I mean, it just takes, there's X number of miles and X number of traffic and.
Yeah, so we've had our subcommittee meetings, we've had 2 so far. At the last meeting, we decided to meet now on the third Thursday of every month. We're gonna start that schedule after the holiday. So in January, we'll start on the third Thursday of every month at 1:30, 1 p.m. And so it's going pretty good. We were looking at and comparing to a lot of different zoning ordinances, some mostly from nearby counties like Madison and Lexington, Dade County, Bergen County, Paris. We looked at Mount Sterling's. We looked at Jessamine counties, and then we included Murray in there too. And if there was any more that I forgot, Georgetown, Scott County was included as well. Yeah, and so I think I was pretty impressed with some of the language in Georgetown, Georgetown. And so right now, we're looking at the agriculture zoning district and some of these nearby counties, comparing it to our agriculture zoning district and seeing if there's any things that we could maybe change. Things that we see some examples that may be good examples, and we can see some examples that may be bad examples. And of course, nothing will change without a public hearing. So this is just proposals we're looking at, and it'll be brought to the planning commission for a public hearing, so that the public can have an opportunity to speak on any of those changes that we could take.
When we start with that.
We're just starting from the front of the book, and working away. So we worked through a lot of the when it comes to the first couple of chat articles talks about non-conforming uses. It talks about just like what staff can do
governmental bodies have approved them, and have we taken final action? I don't,
So
I guess
that,
technically, we probably ought to take final action to make sure we've approved all the changes, and then we're done. I can't think of any other procedure that needs to be done.
Thought we were gonna have a meeting at the extension office and invite the members and haven't. Or an open to let everybody know.
Certainly can, if you wish.
should we just, should that be, like maybe schedule one of the planning commission meetings at the extension office and have it on the agenda, or should it be a separate meeting altogether?
I can't imagine that it would be that time consuming. The changes are, I mean, I won't say they're trivial, but they're certainly not anywhere near as substantial as they once were thought to be. So, I would make it a part of a regular meeting.
I can, with plenty of time for notice, with the extension office, I can see if maybe February 4th is free, and we can just have that February 4th meeting at the extension office. That's okay for everybody, I can try to make that happen.
I'm right with that. February 4th, 6 p.m.
I will email them first thing in the morning and make sure we can schedule that date. I know a lot of times they fill up pretty quick, so I'm hoping that we give them, more than a month's notice that we'll have that room available.
I guess I would have to, I think certainly transparency is a noble goal, and I certainly think due respect ought to be paid to the commission, the update committee members. And I don't mind a meeting wherein those discussions are explained to the members and then accepted by this body. What I think is a horrible mistake is if we have a meeting with the idea that the update committee, either individually or as a group, has a voice at this point in time. Their work is done. It is one thing to explain to them the position taken by the two government bodies and why we got to where we are. But I certainly think that it ought to be limited to that. They have no override authority of this body or either of the governmental entities. And I certainly don't think it's wise to get in a position where we, on the basis of their suggestion or our own, unless there's a change that you all cannot live with, send it back up, because it was not a simple task to get the city and the county on the same page. And I think I don't see anything, and granted, I don't have the historical background that many of you do, but I don't see any changes that are so earth-shaking that it's worth risking another divisive battle between those two, and maybe end up then without a set that they agree on in the first place. That would be the worst result for not only this body, but for the citizens of Winchester and Clark County as well, in my opinion.
So it's just part of the meeting, it's not a forum, it's just to state where we're at, and it's going to be printed, public knowledge, that it's done this way, and it's sort of, so what I'm hearing.
But would it be on the agenda, under other business? Or would it be a public hearing?
I would make it a public hearing. I mean, you don't want it, I'm real big on if you invite people in, you ought to hear what they've got to say. I have no problem hearing their comments, but I just,
venue to allow more room for more people to come and, I guess, have commentary, public commentary. Who's are we worried about coming that's may try and reinvent the wheel?
I have no idea. I mean, I wouldn't know, but I was at a meeting, but I
Well,
wouldn't.
I mean, is there a group that made these changes that may try and, or somebody that's against the changes that may come and try and use the venue for some type of change, or what is that? I didn't know it was that contentious.
And it's not that we're worried about any certain group, you know, it's just, what we're most worried about is having enough room to fill everybody if it is a well-attended event, and that's why we want to have it in a larger space. But, you know, the effort that it took both city and county to come to an agreement, you know, wasn't an easy task, and so, just echoing what Bobby said, I mean, if we can, you know, unless there's something earth-shattering about the changes that were made that the planning commission can't live with, then, you know, if we have to send it back because of that, then we have to send it back. But if we're able to, you know, finalize the conference plan with the changes, and, you know, understand that the goals and objectives, you know, if they're still considered good and something that the planning commission can write their name on, then we should do that. But also giving the public an opportunity to voice in case that it is considered earth-shattering, you know, rather than to be able to voice that and us to consider that.
So let me ask you this, would it be proper for us to look at it before that meeting? So we've all seen it and with the changes, and we're not up here having a big discussion.
Sure.
Present it and vote on it and be done with it.
Right.
And I mean, it's regular business for us, correct?
And what we could do is, I mean, I could bring, you know, printed copies, or, I mean, they're pretty thick, either printed or digital copies to the January meeting, so that you guys can have a whole month to read through it.
Yeah, I mean, that way we're not sitting around asking, trying to clarify stuff, and if everybody's got their ducks in a row at the meeting where it's gonna be, on the state business, we just bring it up, vote on it, and go from there.
And we definitely want you guys to be able to have enough time and an opportunity to read through it. We want you to vote on something the night after you receive it, you know.
The city and county have already approved.
Yeah, so just for some of the newer planning commissioners, the city and county, it's not their job to adopt the entire comprehensive plan. They're only adopting the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan might be this thick, but the goals and objectives is just one chapter. And so, but of course, those goals and objectives are going to be reflected throughout the entire plan. So they're pretty important. And so the county made some changes to the not just one or two, but to plenty. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't tell you all the changes they made, but we'll make sure you know what changes they made at the January meeting. And so it's not something that's common. You know, I think normal procedure is that once the goals and objectives are forwarded to the governing bodies, they typically adopt those goals and objectives. But it doesn't. The KRS allows them to make changes as well as what they felt was the legal interpretation, the county attorney's legal interpretations. But
Both have agreed.
both have agreed. Both have agreed. And it took some you know, compromising on both parts. Both have agreed.
So they accepted the goals and objectives, and our role is
So our role would have just been finalizing the goals of the comp plan that was finished. Because what happened was, after a year-long process, we've got a finalized comp plan with the goals and objectives. We only forwarded the goals and objectives
they move forward, and stay on track towards those goals and objectives? Do we have any consideration in that? Is that something?
Yeah, so our comprehensive plan has, one of the last chapters in the comp plan is implementation. And so that's something we can do better as a community. There's just one planner in the planning office, and that's myself. I have an assistant, but she also assists building official and
Right.
other duties. So, but that's something I think myself and the planning department can do better. And if you guys have ideas on how you can help with that, that's great too. I think that helps. If we want to take our comp plan out quarterly or every so often during the year and see how we can implement some of the goals and objectives and kind of cross them off, as they finish. I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, I just know strategic plans are only as good as you follow. I mean, you can come up with a nice one, but if there's not something to keep people focused and on track, all you got is a document for somebody that's really bored, right, for something.
And that collect dust. We don't want it to just collect dust on a bookshelf somewhere.
Didn't I just read that they're going to begin this work in December and January?
We've already, the work's already been done. It started
No, not the plan, but the grants are being, they've been allotted and they're starting work after the parade.
I think there might be some type of grants that might affect downtown business district or maybe the industrial park.
I found it.
Yeah, which could maybe, help some of those goals that set in the comp plan, but I don't think they were as a result of the comprehensive plan. It's just,
We've already started moving gas.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it's already started.
yeah.
It's already-
No, I don't know, to me, it looks like what we're trying to learn, and I would be public hearing myself, and God just review it.
Well, that's what I'm,
Business,
that's what I was,
pass it.
if that's our regular business,
Yeah,
I mean, that's like, I certainly want to be transparent, but if that's our regular business, I think the fact that you're going to get a different venue, then you're going to have some people just show up and have zero clue about what it is, but they're saying, wow, it's going to be out here, so it must be something. And, you may be asking for trouble.
I didn't think it was a public hearing when we discussed it before. I thought we were just moving the venue so we didn't get a removed meeting like we had before, when we didn't expect people to be here and the fire marshal said something. Because it's already really been done. We just
Now, this
wanted-
kind of blessing, just kidding.
We wanted to be transparent and let the commission, the group that had this whole year and a half meetings to make it the way they thought, and then it was sent, and then changes were made. We were just letting them know that, this is what's happened, not to talk about it, because there's really nothing we can do about it. It is what it is, whether we agree or disagree. I didn't think we could give you overruling, but I thought once the fiscal court had it, we're done.
Well, and so this is, we have our KRS statutes that help guide us through the comprehensive plan process, tell us, what goals and objectives are needed, what process is needed, but unfortunately, it doesn't spell out how to handle what happened. It doesn't spell out what happens when the governing bodies change it after you send it. So we're just trying to, kind of go with what best practice, and if best practice means a public hearing, we should maybe hold a public hearing. But what do you think, Bobby? Is it something that we can do under like a general business, or do we have to?
Is it a requirement to have a public hearing on it?
I'm like Mr. Dillon, I think if you had a hearing, you ought to have a public.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly, if you're gonna have one, yeah.
You can just review it and pass it.
But if this is considered the course of regular business, then I say send it out to everybody and we all read it and we either vote to accept it or we don't. I don't know, I mean, it's available for people once we've accepted it, for the public to access online, or is there a paper document they can go to the library and look at it? I mean,
Well, what we can do is, because what is available now is with the change. So like,
This is not a debate. We're not arguing these points. We've called you all, invited you all to the meeting out of a sense of respect for the work you did, to show you the final product and to explain how we got here. And I just don't think it'll be that big a deal. But I could be wrong.
I mean, and the chairman can, if it gets like it's an overwhelming amount of people, the chairman can say, you can limit the comments to like 3 minutes each.
Sure, and I just don't, I don't think it will be that big a deal.
You don't want to move it to extension on this, there's actually, I just thought of that because of the meeting we had here, and we wasted everyone's time because we projected something that tripled in size. I'd rather be an extension on, you know, that.
Oh, I agree 100%. I mean, you had
agree with that as well.
22 or 23 members that updated it. So, yeah, I mean, I think, given the limitations of this room, I think it's better at the extensions.
If there hadn't been this, let's say controversy, this issue that we had, we would have just normally put it on, part of our business, agreed with it, and moved on for everybody to read.
And not have a
Correct.
committee here.
So I think that's still what we need to do, but we need to be prepared.
Well, so there's a venue to handle this, okay? And that's what I was alluding to. If we can make the whole plan available to every member of the public, any of those committee members, anybody, anytime they want to, our first order of new business is generally anything from the public that's not on the agenda. If they want to come down here and talk about the goals and objectives or the comprehensive plan, come on down, we're gonna be here, that's what we're here for. I think if we do something out of sync, out of the ordinary, you're asking, there's always gonna be somebody that did not get their final word in on whether they were on a committee, whether they were whatever. And that could be the part where we're asking for trouble, because we're giving them not just a venue, but a public venue, to say whatever they're gonna say, and then the chairman has to gavel them down or whatever. And I think if this is part of our regular business, we just do it like we normally would. And, there may be some people that don't like that and think it should have been recognized or something. If that's the case, we've got a response. Number one on the agenda every month. If you want to talk about something that's not on the agenda, come on in. And we're going to be here, and, it wouldn't bother me to explain to anybody in your town, county, or the state, hey, this is why we did it. This is, of course, a regular business. When anybody trying to hide anything, the thing's all over the internet. It's at the library. It's at City Hall. It's at the judge's office, wherever we're going to have it. You can access it anytime you want to, and we're here once a month. You can come talk to us about it. And it's, it's not, I just think if we do something out of the ordinary, that's going to be the problem. I think we're calling attention to something that it's just a regular course of business. I don't know. I mean, that's Jeff's opinion.
I think something already happened out of the ordinary, and that is the governing body didn't accept the goals and objectives that the compact committee made, that the planning commission voted on. And so the statutes really don't explain how is the planning commission going to handle that if the goals and objectives were changed at a fiscal quarter at a city commission meeting. And so we're just trying to best handle that situation as best as we can. And usually the answer is in a public forum where people from the public can, and it might be them airing their grievances, but it might be them asking questions.
It may be ripping the scab off.
But, I mean, is this something that we can, go take a vote on? Are we allowed to do that right now and see how many commissioners think we should hold a public hearing, how many commissioners think it should be a general business item?
Sure. I think you all discussed it tonight more than it's going to be discussed in that meeting.
I agree with that. I think we've given it more attention than it seriously.
To be honest, I can't understand why any of the committee members would have been upset anyway. It's not like they threw the whole document out. At the most, there were, while there were some significant changes, a tiny bit of the text was changed. And as finally approved by both bodies, a much smaller tiny bit of the text was changed. Now, that's not to say those changes don't have significance, because they do. But they are the governmental bodies. They are the elected officials. They are the leaders of the county and the city. And they have a vote in it. So, but I still believe, I think we ought to put it on. I think you all ought to have a copy of the entire document in advance. I doubt it will be something that we can put on the web page until it gets finally approved. I don't think I would do that, because that would end up leading to confusion. But there's no reason we couldn't have a few red line copies of the goals and objectives at the meeting. And if the public wants to see them, put it on the end of the regular business. They'll have plenty of time to read the changes. If they have questions, of course, I mean, the questions are going to be simply call your magistrate or call your commissioner. Those are the groups that made these changes. We didn't. But you've given them at least the courtesy of an explanation, but you actually don't owe them that. Just like, obviously, neither of the governmental bodies felt like they owed them that, or they would have. In fact, at one point in time, I think one of my letters to the mayor and the judge executive suggested that we have a big group meeting with all four entities: the government, the city, the county, you all, and the members of the update committee, and have an open discussion, and that went nowhere. So, again, I think you all spend more time on it tonight than it will consume on the February 4th meeting. But I just, my personal feeling, I think anything you all discuss in a public meeting ought to be subject to public comment. It's just not that big a deal. If 22 people stand and speak for 2 minutes, we've spent 45 minutes on the issue. It won't be the end of the world.
I'm wasting more time than that Walmart trying to check out.
Oh, man, Walmart's the worst, right? You can go in for one item.
Want to put it in public hearing, or just put it on the agenda, public comment, take public comment? I guess that'd be a public hearing.
Yeah, that'd be
Either that, or don't we advertise this meeting?
We do. And so
You can put, coming in February, set your calendar, come see us, and then we're gonna talk, whatever,
yeah, so but we would have to advertise it as a public hearing so they know that they can make comment.
Yeah, but some people don't understand any of that, and they come down here, and it's not a public hearing, but we end up hearing them anyway.
Right.
Because we're trying to do the right thing, so, I don't know.
Do we want to vote on it? Somebody want to make a motion?
It's a real divisive situation. It created, whenever it didn't go by the comprehensive plan flow, that should have went through. And then I'm listening to everybody, we want to give everybody the opportunity that they didn't like what happened in that situation to say something. But it sounds like that we've got an opportunity to have all the government bodies come together, which they have come together. And we're the last and final ones to do this. I think we're adding drama to it by having this discussion. But then we do owe the public, or somebody owes the public, I don't know if it's us, I kind of go back to Collier, Magistrate, or whoever, whether it's me speaking for them or me listening for them. So my opinion is, we do it as normal. We go back into the process as quickly as we can. And the public meeting, in that case for me, it just add more insult to injury, beating a dead horse. Sounds like to me, we should take the opportunity to get us all back online. No, nobody liked it, left a bad taste in all those hardworking people's time, and, you know, in and out, the time they put in. But it is what it is. Now we're all in agreement, two bodies are. And I say we get behind the divisiveness, and we get us a comprehensive plan approved, and we move on. That's just my opinion.
And there's nothing to say that we can't recognize the groups that have worked on this.
Yeah.
You know, I think that just like Mr. Collins said, the more you talk about it, and we've talked about it probably more than it will be, but I think the more it's headlined, the people, you know, you get some people, they hear about it enough, they start thinking something might be wrong, you know, and there's nothing wrong. The other side, the other part of that I can see is we may end up with some elected officials that want to use this as their pulpit that evening to explain something, and you know that's really not the venue for that. But what do you do about, you know, they are the elected officials? What do you do about that?
You get 3 minutes too.
Are you gonna run the cane all along?
If I need to, I will.
I've been on the deals before, I don't end well.
Yeah.
Everybody's mad when they're over.
To me,
All that's been done, yeah, right. But now you know as well as I do, there's some folks out there that they see an opportunity for some free airtime, they're gonna grab it.
Let me make this suggestion. Let's look at the changes. Shift this conversation until January and make our decision then. Like if I see something that's crazy there or something, or somebody makes a comment.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wanting to see.
Well, let's read it, let's get familiar with it, because there's been a lot of work done that I've not been party to. I'm just learning about it tonight.
So as of now, I'll make sure the extension office is free February 4th, get it scheduled for that date and time there. And then in January, the commission can finalize whether it's going to be a public hearing or just a general business item.
We need a motion, Chef.
Let me ask a question. The hearing would allow them to speak, but nothing they say is going to change what we do or don't do.
That's what I've been kind of weighing. If they say something, like, oh, well, no.
That's ultimately up to you all, but, again,
It's false advertising, I think, if we let them speak and there's no power behind that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a waste of time.
well,
We're not here to hear the grievances without the ability to take action to resolve it.
well, that may be true, but I don't think anybody is ever more angry than when they come to what they believe is a public meeting that cannot be heard.
And so when do we begin to educate them along the process that we
You're
don't have?
not going to.
But I'm not the grievance committee, and they've had how many months?
And that's what I would suggest that either myself or Rob or the chairman that night do at the beginning, that this is, the purpose for this hearing is to educate the public on the changes and the reason for them. And then you don't take your vote. It's just not that big a deal. It really isn't. I don't think it will take 10 minutes, no matter how you do it, but I personally, I'm always going to be on the side of allowing the public to speak. It's just not, when I started 4 years ago, you all had a rule, and I hate it. And you, fortunately, I was convincing of somebody, and you all changed it, but you had a time limit rule, and you had a very structured meeting that I thought was counter to quality public input. And you all followed my suggestions, and you eliminated the time limit. We have not had one lengthy speaker in 4 years. It just doesn't happen. And
Central Baptist?
even, we had a lengthy hearing. We had a 4-hour hearing that had over 80 people speak. And we didn't have anybody that spoke more than 3 or 4 minutes. But there is nothing that is more chilling, in my opinion, on the First Amendment than having somebody sitting there with a stopwatch saying, you've got 30 more seconds. It's just not necessary. And we eliminated it, and we have never had an issue. And if the issue is to spend a few more minutes and give the public the feeling that they have been heard, whether their comments, we may not take a comment, and we may take a comment from 20 different people. But if, I think you all have spent, I guarantee you, more time tonight talking about this than this will take. It's just not that big a deal. But if members of that committee choose to come, they will come and they will be explained the purpose of what we're doing tonight and why we have to do it, why we have to again consider this document is because we approved the goals and objectives that you all prepared, word for word. We sent them to the 2 governmental bodies. One of them made a few changes, one of them made a lot of changes, and we got back what would have been, in my opinion, an unenforceable document. We would have been in litigation probably relatively quickly over the mixed goals and objectives. Fortunately, we were able to convince those 2 bodies to go back and to work together and come up with a set of changes that they could accept. They have done that, and now I believe the appropriate thing was to say grace over them again. But I think, I don't even know that there will be any public comment. But as long as they know this is not a debate, we want you all to know what is going on. But if somebody stands up and says, I'd really like to explain something to you, let them talk. It's not that big a deal. I mean, at least it's not.
As long as the understanding is there that no changes. You can say and feel whatever you want to say and feel, but it doesn't influence what happens after that.
Well,
I don't know.
Possibly send it back to Fiscal.
Well, that's the mixed message.
There's always a possibility, you know, I mean, the thing is, as of right now, you know, Mr. Gold and I, we don't see any of the changes that both governing bodies made. You know, there's nothing that they've made that would be as drastic as we understand it today. But if someone from the community were to speak and make a point that maybe we weren't thinking of, we're like, oh, maybe that is a serious, you know, action, and maybe we do need to send it back. So that's always a possibility. I mean, we would hope that.
But that seals it, they have to talk.
I mean,
They have to have the opportunity.
yeah, but, I mean, but at the same time, as we see it today, what the goals and objectives are, the changes that have been made to it, it's still viable goals and objectives that can be considered good for our community. But I think hopefully it would be more of an educational experience for everybody. But again, if there is something that's stated that could be considered like, I don't want to keep on using the phrase earth shattering, but you know, drastic, and then open their eyes and minds to it, well, maybe we need to send it back. And yeah, that's always a possibility, but we hope that it's more of an educational experience. Yeah, we're talking about it a lot.
So can you, we're big crap about it. Can you email it out to us or send it in January?
I think we need to sit and think about it more. I mean, I'm okay with the idea of, you know, we know for sure we want to do it on the 4th at the extension office at 6 p.m. We'll get it scheduled, and then in January, we can finalize whether it needs to be a public hearing or open. I mean, I think we talked about it so much tonight that I think I'm comfortable moving forward in that direction, and we can finalize that at the January class.
Need a motion to vote.
So could we get it before earth-shattering and all that.
You have to realize it's already been approved by this commission, we're just approving the changes, that's it.
That's right,
Yes,
yeah.
it's just,
Yeah, so again, the only thing I'm worried about, I can definitely send you what we forwarded to the governing bodies and the changes they made to the open objectives. So I can do that to you, I can do that this week, I can forward you what Health Plan Committee gave to us and what we forwarded to the governing bodies, and I can show you the 4 or 5 pages of the red line documents that the city county made. I can easily get that to you this week.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, just to be able to make a decision how we're gonna